Welcome to our proactive agents and investors nationwide. Today is Thursday, January 29th, 2026, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 562. Hopefully, we have something other than the weather to talk about today. What do you think, Tim?
I don't know. I don't think there's much going on other than the weather right now, and we're kind of evenly spaced here between the folks that are joining us on the call and the teachers and coaches. It's a cold day. I think a lot of people are doing other stuff. This is probably one of the lower crowds we've had in a while. But you know what? We're going to award the folks that are here with something really special. We're going to have Jim sing to them, right, Jim?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ah, all right, maybe not. Hey guys, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Um, as Jim said, we uh, hopefully have some stuff to talk about other than the cold weather. We're here in Florida and we don't know how to handle this. We're going crazy here. Supposed to have record cold temperatures and we haven't had this cold in a while. Um, Hope everything's going well where you guys are and appreciate you being here to join us today. Just to refresh your memory, if you haven't joined us before or if you've forgotten, uh, this is for you. We're here to answer your questions, talk to you, hear about good, the bad, the ugly, the exciting, what's going on in your world, what you see happening in the market, questions you have, tough problems you're trying to deal with, anything you can figure out that we can help you with. We're here to do just that. Um, I think towards the end of the call, I'm going to have a couple things to say about where we're going with this in the coming year. I'm going to try to freshen this up a little bit, freshen our format up a little bit, and arrange each week to, I'll just do it now and kind of get it over with. So we do this every week. And Jim, what's our number again? 500 and what?
562 today, 562.
All right. So for 562 hours since 2014, we've been doing this, and we've kind of made it our policy, and we will continue to do that. That this is never a pitch fest. We never have people come on and spend the entire time they're here trying to sell you a product. We've never ever had anybody on here that we don't believe in what they're doing and fully vetted. But we have certainly less people coming on to sell anything than any other place you're going to go for education or anything else. We intend to hold on to that. But I think the one thing that we do need to do in this coming year is to kind of get out in front of some of the trends that are happening. And the reason that I say that is that if you see what's going on in the AI world, um, I can tell you that we can't keep up with it. And, we not only can't keep up with it, the people that we pay to keep up with it are having a hard time keeping up with it. And that includes the people whose business it is to service the world of AI and make it grow. We were fortunate enough to kind of get started early on with a good group of people that we've known for, a couple of decades who really jumped in early and put some really bright minds on the things that are going on there. So that's one of the things that we're going to probably be doing is that every time that we gather like this going on in the future, we're going to try to have some new AI, I won't say exercise or anything else, more an AI part of our training that we'll offer and show you what we're doing with it, show you how to implement it. If there's something we can offer to help, we'll do that. So we're going to be doing that. We're also going to try to have some other industry segments and experts be involved in this call so that we're bringing you a perspective of not just the things that we know. I think the main thing that I'll get across is that this year we're going to be doing lots more other than probate. We've got several new lead types that are coming out. We have several new overall products that go over all of our offerings that we're working on as well. So we're just jamming. We got a lot of good things going on and we're excited about that. But for this call, this is your call. So we'd love to see those hands go up. Click on the little heart at the bottom of your screen. You'll see something that comes up says raise hand. If you do that, a little hand will come up on your profile like it just did on mine, and you'll be the next voice that we talk to. So that's what we're here for. We definitely want to hear what you have to say, and we'll go from there. Start off with, does anybody have anything exciting that they would like to talk about, or have you run into anything that you'd like some help and counseling on or anything like that, please raise your hand. Don't wait till the end because we're going to try to cut it off right at the normal hour. That's the other thing we're real careful about doing, is trying to make sure we hold this to an hour and be respectful of your time. So, anybody have anything they'd like to talk about? Great. Michael White, what's up, bud? Unmute yourself there.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you fine, man.
You had a couple questions. You asked questions about 2 or 3 weeks ago. You had a question session where you had different things. You asking people their opinion about different topics and that kind of thing. And one thing that came to me to my mind about lead sources, if you can provide lead sources for people that are, let's say, 70 plus, that have a house for
Michael,
years.
Michael, I really want to hear you, but you're breaking up on me.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going down a hill. I'm coming back to the top
we'll
now.
wait. I'm interested in hearing what you have to say.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Yeah, so going back, I was saying I'm looking for people that are 70 plus that own a house for 20 plus years, and maybe on Medicaid, Medicare, those kind of things. I'd love to find out, have a lead source for that kind of person.
We could certainly, I can tell you that we can certainly put that together. The one thing that you need to be aware of is that things that are not generally available, the kicker there is the age. Making sure that we find that right person who is in fact the owner of that age. That's a little bit tricky sometimes to get, but yeah, I mean we could certainly undertake that. If you would send a request, Michael, to support@alltheleads.com with that, I'd like to have that in writing if you could.
Yeah, I can do that. My other question is this: I'm looking at creating another landing page. I mentioned this last time I called about some of the results that I'm getting on a landing page. Right now, I just have a WordPress site that's acting as the page. I was wondering if there's anybody out there that's in this group that's using something like Lead Pages or some other already sort of pre-canned or pre-approved app or something for a landing page. I'd like to know more about pre-existing apps that are available that I could reach out to, I can learn more about.
Michael, are you aware that we provide credibility websites, right?
Yeah, I don't need a website. I'm not looking for a credibility website. I'm looking specifically for a landing page that a person can fill out a form that can then automatically send out the PDF or lead magnet that I've created, and then keeps the stats of who's visiting the page, who's downloaded the lead magnet, that kind of information. So it's not specifically a credibility website.
No, I understand. What I'm saying is that you can do that with any website that's out there. You can create exactly that. In other words, if you have a WordPress website, you can make it do exactly what you just said. Is that what you're interested in doing?
Well, I've already got that in place, right? I had a local vendor do that. The problem, there's a disconnect, though, between trying to get PDFs sent out automatically and having to have the end user, the person that wants the information, instead of having them try to click another button to download something or to send an automatic download. I want things to be sort of seamless, right? They hit submit on the form, and then it goes straight to the PDF goes straight to the person that's requested the form. And everybody I talk to locally and all about around here, it sort of seems to blow their mind about how to set that up for me. Plus, there's an issue with switching out lead pages, lead magnets. Through experience, I'm coming up with more ideas on lead magnets that I think will work, and then having to pay somebody $200 or $300 every time to change something gets a little expensive. So, just trying to figure out a way to streamline the process a little bit.
Sure. David, you raised your hand. Are you commenting about what he's talking about, or you have something else you want to talk about?
Yeah, just commenting on what he was talking about. So it sounds like you're experimenting with different lead sources and finding which one works the best. I've gone that route. And it's okay to supplement your leads, but what I've found, the more money you spend on advertising on those, the more leads you're going to get. So I think I would send out two or three of those little websites where they're lead captures. The more money I spend, the more leads I get. But the reality is a lot of them are like not very good, and you got to sift through so many just to get one good one that I found it really wasn't worth my time. Well, I mean, it really just depends what your time's worth. But
Well, that's not the way the system's set up, right? The system that I have is set up to where everything starts with the letter. The call to action in the letter is go to to get our free guide on estate sales. Go to this website. They go to the website, they fill out the form, and then they automatically get the lead magnet, right? And so I'm starting to treat these executors and PRs as someone that's trying to sign up for like an online class or something. You know, I figure once I get them into my email marketing system, then all we're going to do is just send email drips to them, and eventually let them come to me at some point in time once I get to the point where they're ready to make a decision. I mean, I've made enough phone calls in the past. I've talked to enough people that I'm just sort of tired of hearing we're going to sell it, but we don't know what time, and I'm just tired of all the follow up via phone and all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to convert it more to in an email system, and
yeah,
if they
and,
unsubscribe, they unsubscribe, whatever. It's to the point I don't care anymore.
yeah, I get it. So it's great. For this type of lead source, what I've found, because I've tried some of those things, there's really no shortcut. It does take some work, and you have to build relationship and connection with the people. Probate's not always a super straightforward process. They're
No, I,
inviting you into their life and their family. So just
I
what
get
I've
that.
found is,
No, I understand that. I mean,
yeah.
I've done it long enough to understand that. It's just, again, I mean, we're trying to, I think I'm getting halfway decent results, right? I'm averaging 18 to 20 people per month going to the lead page or the landing page, and we're getting about two or three people downloading the PDF. So to me, those people that download the PDF, they're a little bit higher quality, lead than most other leads that I'm reaching out to, right?
How many
So,
escrows have you had so far, and how long have you been doing it?
yeah, we've been doing it since I think we went live in maybe July, August of last year. And so, I figure getting 18 people a month since then is pretty good. We had our best month was in December when we changed the lead magnet to one that had like the 7 mistakes executors make when selling a home. That one went from 18 to 26 people in 1 month, and we're at 18 this month for January. So with 2 downloads.
How many escrows?
Well, we haven't converted any yet, but everyone that these are all inbound, not spoken to leads, right? So that's just building the pipeline of people that have raised their hand more or less at some point in time.
Michael, where are they coming from?
Yeah, they're coming off your letters, right? So we're buying data from you guys, sending these letters out to people here in the Mecklenburg County area that own property. We're getting about 82 of those people a month, which is not bad.
No, not bad at all.
And like I said, I think we mailed 400 and some letters last month. Again, 18 people hit the landing page, 2 converted to downloads. So it's not great. It's not great conversion, but it's not bad either, right? So better than 0.
Let me ask you another quick question about that, David. I'm not trying to cut you off, but
No, I'm done. I think I'm done. Anyway.
Okay. So the question I was going to ask, and Michael, I think we'll take this offline because I want to talk with you a little bit. Maybe I don't want to take the whole call doing this, but it's
Sure.
a good provoking topic. You're sending that out. You said 3 of them are out of, on your monthly average, you're getting 3 or 4 of them that are downloading the PDF, right?
That's correct.
And is your objective to try to increase that number?
Yeah, I mean, I want to try to get as many people as I possibly can to go to the landing page and then download the lead magnet, right?
Right.
And so what I'm learning, my next lead magnet is going to be about Estate Sale 101. That's going to be the name of it, and it's going to be geared toward like the 7 tips to do your own estate sale. that seems to be, when I talk to executors, that seems to be a very big topic of, what to do with the stuff. And none of them want to pay to do an estate sale. They all want to do it on their own. So I figured that lead magnet will generate a lot of interest, right? And so I'm hoping my numbers will increase come February, March, whenever I get that out.
Okay. Are you going to be around after the call is over today?
Yeah, I'm heading to an appointment. I'll be done after 3:00 Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. Yeah, I want to talk to you maybe when you get back. I'll just hang around for about 5 minutes after the call's over. I'll give you a quick buzz and we'll arrange a time to talk. How about that?
Yeah, that's fine. No problem.
All right, we'll do that for sure.
Yep.
All right. That's a good topic. I mean, quite frankly, you're getting good results. Your conversion rate is low. Your need to be able to get those people to immediately get the form and all that, that's an easy fix. There's no big effort to doing that. We can help you get some of that done, but I want to kind of talk a little bit about what you're doing and take a look at what you've got on there, and then we'll see if we can do to help you get a little bit better results. I saw your boss, Jim.
Yep, stuck up behind me to get a pencil.
Anyway, great question. Appreciate it, Michael, and we'll definitely get back to you immediately right after the call's over.
Hey,
So,
Matt, did Matt have a comment? Is that something you wanted to chime in, Matt, or not? You had typed something in. No?
No, he's good.
Oh, okay. All right, we're good.
So, good way to get us started today. Anybody else have any questions, observations, things you'd like to talk about? Anything cool in your world? No pun intended. It's cool enough everywhere. I'll just quickly call on Jody. Hey, Jody, what's the depth of your snow at this point?
Oh man, I think it's 2 feet high and rising when I look out the back deck.
Still getting snow today?
Yep.
Every
It's
day, huh?
it's notable when we're not getting snow.
That's crazy, man. I looked and I saw it doesn't look like that's going to be changing anytime soon either.
No, and it's supposed to get below zero over the weekend to go with it. Nice pairing.
Yep. What pairs well with freezing temperatures, right? David, what's up, man?
Oh, I had something pretty cool happen day before yesterday. I have a list of about I don't know how many I have now. I think I have like 450 on the board and of people that are looking to sell, and it's all handwritten. Well, one of my very first calls of this 350 list, which I think I started, or 400, I don't even know how many, years ago, 2 years ago, the very first call called me day before yesterday and said, I want to list my property with you. I want you to go check it out and list it. And so this was from 2 years ago. I had a long conversation with this lady about her property, and she told me to send something in the mail, so I did. And she said, I'll call you, I promise, when we're done with this and we figure out the probate and everything. And of course, I took it with a grain of salt, never expected to hear from her again. And she was adamant that I stop calling. So 2 years later, she calls. She says, Hey, Dave, I'm going to keep my word. Why don't you go out there and check it out? Let me see what you can give me for that property. And yeah, so then I listed her property. So yeah, it
That's
was
great.
pretty good. Yeah. And that's happened several times to where we've had these conversations and it's a long conversation, a good conversation. And then I think I'll never hear from them again. And I get a call a year or two later and they list with me. So,
Hey,
Well,
David, had you,
go
go
ahead,
ahead,
Jim.
Tim. No, I was going to say, had you done anything recently over the last 2 years or recently as far as keeping in touch with her, or was this one you just sort of gave up on and she resurrected herself?
she resurrected herself. I hit it pretty hard initially. I gave her, two mailers, a card, and her properties. She has several properties that are really nice properties. and just such a great area of Hawaii, highly desirable. So, high end, considered high end. So, I put quite a bit of energy into them initially, and just made sure that I had a solid introduction. And she explained all the reasons, the myriad of reasons why it wasn't ready to sell, and the family drama and things of that nature. And I just listened, and yeah, several years later, she called me, and now I'm listing her property. And it,
One
and,
one
and it
thing,
should be a good one. Yeah.
one thing you said there, David, that really struck me is, and one the earlier gentleman was talking about marketing to people over 70s, but that age demographic, they probably aren't going to save your voicemail or your email for 2 years. But the fact
Yeah.
that you sent them something, I'll bet it was in a shoebox or on their refrigerator or in a file folder somewhere. So it's the value of
Yeah.
setting something and letting it sit there, and eventually pull it out and say, okay, I'm ready to go. So good job.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. Didn't expect that.
That's great. And that's probably a reasonable time, Jim, for you to maybe talk quickly about refresh. Why don't you do that?
Yeah, we've talked about it before, but program we came up with, honestly, it was for long-time subscribers. Actually, the idea originally was people who would call and say, "I've got a year's worth of leads. I've never done anything with them," you know. So, but it serves more of a purpose than that. What we can do, anybody who's been with us for any period of time knows that these leads do season well. The older they get, the more likely they are to be ready to do something and the less competition you have. So if you have any old leads laying around that you have not disqualified, hopefully if you worked them at all, you've disqualified a good percentage of them from your database. But whether you have or not, we can go into your database, grab those old leads that are still survivors and refresh them for you. And we put them through a two-step process. First, we will determine, do these leads that are still there surviving, do they have real estate? And then we'll run them again and double check and see, has that real estate been listed or sold? And we'll give you back the survivors that 6 months, a year, 2 years later, they still do have real estate that has not been listed or sold yet. And I found it kind of interesting. This is just anecdotal, but even at the 1 year mark, somewhere around 20 to 25% of them are still, they're still viable leads. And I know for one lady, we ran 2 years, and I think it was 10 or 15% at the 2 year mark. So older they get, the more, if they're ever going to do anything, they're finally going to be ready to do it. And it's very inexpensive for us to do that for you with what you've already spent on your leads. Now, some of the people that have done it or most of them have taken those leads and either mailed and or called themselves. We do have a 6 month and we have a 1 year letter you can send out that basically just says, hey, I spoke to you 6 months, a year ago. You might be ready now. Give me a call. And then they picked up the phone and called them. And I know we've given some of them people that after a year had never made any calls and still weren't going to. We gave them to Matt. we let Matt call them, and he confirmed the same thing, that the conversion rate on these survivors is probably, well, it is significantly higher than the brand new leads. So the older they get, the better the conversion gets. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. If anybody wants to take advantage of that, just let us know.
Well, and I think the key element to remember there is that, we've said from the very beginning, oh, how wonderful probate leads are from a seasoning standpoint. That's not just because we want them to be. It's the reality. If you think about why that would be the case, think about all the circumstances where someone passes away and that house isn't going to change hands, even though it goes into probate, and even though potentially the title is going to change, it's going to the surviving spouse. It's going to, stay where it was for whatever reason. Somebody else is living in the house. Family's there. Lots of reasons. At some point, that may change. What can cause that to happen? Keep that in mind when you're dealing with this, and maybe modify your letter to deal with that. Any letter that we put out for you obviously is able to be modified by you, but you could put things in there about all the circumstances that could cause that to happen. It could be a medical issue. It could be the aging of their surviving spouse, that they need to get someplace that's easier to manage, or their health just simply doesn't permit them to stay where they are. It could also be that the upkeep on the property is not getting done because the people that are in it can't do it, or they don't have the money to do it. A lot of reasons for those kinds of things happening. And when that happens, if you're the right person at the right place at the right time, you're going to be able to help those people. If you're not contacting them, you won't be, but somebody will, or they'll reach out to the, you know, sign that they saw on their neighbor's house next door. And you need to be putting yourself, it's a lead. You paid for it. It's a lead that you should be getting. You should be working that. You should never be out of touch with them until they tell you to stop calling them. And that's coming from Jim, until they tell you to leave them alone. Don't leave them alone. Doesn't do you any good. You paid for it. They're not your friends. They're not necessarily your next door neighbor. Nobody's going to get on you about doing it. Get out there and get after it. Make it happen. So that's
Yeah, I
what
tested.
refresh is all about. It's really to help you really, really, really laser focus on people who, if you poke them at the right time, they're going to do something at some point. You need to be the person that they think of. Right place, right time, top of mind. Jim, you were going to say something, bud.
Yeah, I had tested myself in my market. I don't really have the time I used to have and to flip properties, but I still love doing it. And the it was about 2 years ago, I think, a year and a half, 2 years ago, that I tested it in my market and got a call immediately. And I still remember the guy said it was like a year and 2 months or a year and 3 months. And he said, a year ago, we had a big family feud. My five siblings were all fighting who gets control of the estate. One person wanted to live there. Nobody else wanted to live there. They wanted to rent it. And so we fought about it for a year. And he said back then the phone was ringing off the hook and I was getting mail. He said, now that we finally ready to do something, I haven't heard from anybody in 6 months. So just by default, I was the only one that contacted him. And we looked at both options, flipping it or listing it, but he eventually ended up listing it. He was the one that got the authority. He was the executor by the time he contacted me. So yeah, there's so many different reasons why it takes so long. I love when I hear one of our subscribers say, "Well, I called them, but one of the sister's going to buy the place, or the tenant who's living there is going to buy the place." My wife just had a deal like that. The odds of that happening are so slim. Somebody who's been living there for 5 years, paying $1,200 a month rent, probably in many cases they're not going to be able to qualify to buy the house. So don't assume when somebody tells you something like that either that it's a done deal. I'd put them on my follow-up list and check back. But it works. It works for sure, guys. We'd love to see you do it. Everybody that I'm aware of that we've refreshed, I can't say they've all gotten deals, but they've all gotten some great leads out of it. And we probably should get some of them to come on here and give some success stories and some situations of how they got the deals. Well, that's it.
Another thing that I think is important, if you're going to go into working the refresh program, you're making a commitment, not specifically to the refresh program, but in doing that, you're making a commitment to work these leads for a long time. And 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, however long it takes for that to happen, it's the same thing. It's right place, right time, top of mind. And how do you get there? Well, part of that is to just maintain contact. Have something that's regular that goes on. Jim has been after me for the last 2 weeks now. He tends to get a little obsessive at times. I know that you might not know Jim well enough to know that that's true, but he does. Been after me about a program we put together called 33 Touch. A while back, Keller Williams was espousing that Gary Keller was espousing that it required 33 touches to make an average sale. That had to touch somebody 33 times to make that happen. So we put together a program called 33 Touch, and it was a combination of mail and email and text and gifts and all kinds of things out there. We never introduced it because we sampled it in the marketplace, and we weren't sure what Keller was going to do with their program, so it just kind of went by the wayside. Well, kind of bringing it back now, and it's particularly, I think, would be applicable to throw it into something like refresh, where you already know those are higher value leads. They're still there. Nothing's happened to them, and it hasn't happened over a period of time. So if you rekindle the fire with the refresh program, get started with it, we think we'll put this program back in place, and you can consider those high value targets, just like we were talking earlier about trying to put a program out there with a PDF that had a lot of value. Those are high value people. You need to invest in them to grow your business. You already know that they've got something that you want. You've got something they need. You need to find a way to make that exchange in some way. Bruce, you want to comment a little bit about any of that? Haven't heard from you in a little bit.
Yeah, I do. And the comment that I would have is that staying in front of people, almost everyone that I talk to asks, what's the perfect sequence? And my answer is normally whatever sequence you make up. Okay, whatever sequence you invent. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of sequences for prospecting and marketing and mail marketing and touches that can and will work. And there's a point when you just have to pick a path. And guess what? If you're wrong on if the third letter that you send or the third mail piece you send or the schedule that you have for your second text message is wrong, just change it. But sometimes you have to go out there and go, hey, you know what? I need to interact with or attempt interaction with the average lead 17 times. And I'm just making that up, guys. 17 times. I've just made it up. I guarantee if I tried to reach out to someone 17 times, I'm going to get them a lot. A lot. And then you go, well, how often am I supposed to do those 17 times? I don't know. You could do it 17 days in a row, 17 weeks in a row, 17 months in a row. It doesn't matter. But you pick a direction and you start to run with it. And I know that really drives a lot of people crazy because they want to know the exact formula. My formula changes every 6 months. Not because it doesn't work, but because I like trying things. I like testing new concepts and things like that. If I land on something that just works it to convert 10%, I'll probably never cut it out. But if something's converting at 1 or 2%, odds are I'm going to try something a little bit different next time. Or I'm going to make a little tweak or adjustment. I just want folks creating a plan. Doesn't matter what Bruce says. Doesn't matter what Tim says, what Jim says, what Bill says. Create a plan for yourself and implement. Doers are the people that are doing deals here. There's a lot of folks that are learners for too long, and I love seeing you guys here. I love seeing familiar names here over and over again, but there's a time when we just have to go do. And we have to order the mailers and we have to get on the phone. Or we have to order the mailers and we have to hire Matt. And you get on the phone, you send your marketing out and you do it consistently for long enough and you're going to get your deals. If you do it consistently for a year, there should be a 2 to 5% conversion rate in there. So if you get 100 leads a month within a year, you better be landing on 2 deals a month if you're staying in touch with the people that engage with you from your cold efforts.
And Bruce, it's like we were talking with back in my coaching days, Mike Ferry used to always say that it's not always the first person that reaches them. It's often the first person that reaches them after they're ready or after they've made up their mind. And I would also say if nobody reaches them when they've made up their mind, it's someone who left the biggest impression on them. And we, talking about David, the one that sent him the flyer, or the one that sent him 2 flyers, 3, 4, 5 flyers. You never know what it's going to be, but it never hurts, in my opinion, to call too much. I mean, the worst they could do is getting a little upset. I never forget, I had a guy one time that said, it was a for sale by owner, that said, my God, are you going to call me every single day? And I don't know why, I just sensed the guy had a sense of humor. I said, well, there's one way to get that to stop. List with me and you'll never hear from me again. he just started laughing. He said, "I like you. You got a sense of humor." I ended up getting the listing. I mean, vary your approach. Don't be. It's not brain surgery. Have a little bit of fun with it. And just stories like that, when something works like that, you didn't think it could have backfired. Could have hung up on me and said, But more often than not, it doesn't. If you try something enough times, you're going to get good at it. The old outliers: do something 10,000 times, you're going to get good at it. No
A,
doubt.
a lot of people think that this business is a scientific business. It's really an artistic business. That's
Yep.
what it is. But you can't be afraid to spread a little bit of paint around. If you're afraid to get drips and paint on the floor, then you're gonna probably not do a lot. But if you're willing to go out there and have some conversations and send some marketing out and see what the finished product, and guess what? If the finished product isn't quite what you want, you can always go make a couple of tweaks. But this is an artistic business.
Right. And you start with a new group of people every 30 days. And that's the thing to remember. A lot of people go, "Oh, I don't want to screw this up. I'll mess my reputation up. I'll do this." Well, anything you do is only going to affect whatever number of people you do it with. And if you're getting leads on a regular basis, you started your system, that next group not going to know anything you did to the last group. So you've got a chance to start fresh every time. Find the pieces that work, plug them in, or you could be simple and take David's approach, and that is to get a cool hat, wear it all the time, and let everybody know that people that wear cool hats are cool people, right, bud? Yeah, for sure. Michael, you got to unmute yourself, bud. There you
Yeah,
go.
I just want to make a couple of comments on what I see when it comes to old data versus new data, and old leads versus new leads. And you have to remember that I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is Mecklenburg County. And again, this is for my county only, right? I can't say this is going to apply nationwide. Now, and I need to qualify and say that I do not have a huge data set here either. So the law of large numbers, may change these outcomes. But with all that in mind, I see very little to no movement at all in leads that are 10 plus months old. I've got some leads that I've been tracking for the last 2 years, and they're just sitting there. They're making no movement at all. And so when it comes to older leads, it really, in my mind, it casts a doubt about how good they really are. At some point in time, I think these executors make a decision that they're keeping the house, or they're just not going to do a deal, right? They're not interested in doing it. Now, compare that to new leads. What I see is that your greatest probability of scoring a deal or doing a deal is within the first 3 to 6 months after probate is filed. And if you're getting that sweet spot of 3 to 6 months, then that increases your probability. Once you get past 6 months, your probability drops significantly. And by 10 to 12 months, it's extremely low. Now, I'm not saying you don't have the outliers that where you're going to get deals, by sending out your letters, but be prepared not to get a lot of activity after. At least, again, in Mecklenburg County, I'm not getting a lot of activity after the 10-month mark. So you can take that for what it is for your different county you live in, wherever you live in the country.
So let me ask you a question. I hear what you're saying. You say you're tracking these. What do you mean by that? Tell me how you're tracking them.
Yeah, so I am a realtor, and through our multiple listing service, we have a program called Remine, REMINE, and through Remine, you can save properties in a watch list or a cart or whatever. So every lead that I get from you guys that has real estate, I automatically save it into Remine, and so that shows whenever when I call it a title event, whenever the house becomes listed by a realtor, whether it's bought by an investor or it transfers title by selling to a family member, that is updated in Remine. So each month I can go through all the leads that I have and see if any activity has taken place, deed-wise, change of title or whatever has taken place in a property. And so that's where I can confidently say, again, that in Mecklenburg County, Charlotte, North Carolina, if it goes past 10 months, it's a waste of my money to send a mailing out to them. They're probably not going to do a deal.
So I just opened your data here for talking with you after the call. I'm going to ask you to do a little research. I'll submit to you that your feeling about that may be a little bit in error, but I'll explain it to you when we talk because uh, I know everybody's market's different, but nationally, data doesn't work support what you're saying. It's also possible that you may see it in your remind. It's going to tell you if there's been a change. It doesn't mean that nothing's going on. It just means nothing's happened yet. And I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of research. So we'll talk a little bit about that when I talk with you.
Sure, no problem.
Because I would submit to you that that's part of the reason you're missing some gold there. I think there are pieces that you're missing, and I'll talk with you about that when we get off, and then
All right.
maybe we'll come back next week and we'll talk about it together online for
Sounds
everybody.
good. Yeah.
Okay, guys, we got about 15 minutes left here. Good dialogue so far. Glad to hear from everybody. Steve, I'm going to wake you up here in a second and ask you what's going on in the snowland here. So just warning you in advance.
Bill had his hand up. Bill, did you have a comment on that, or are we done?
1 second. So, I just want to say that I've been doing this for over 10 years, and my true gold mine is the older ones because I stay in touch. I've had people call me 5 years after their husband has died and I've sold their homes because I stayed in touch and I just offered them services, you know. My biggest one was where she needed a locksmith. They gave her a locksmith, needed a roofer, needed a remodel. She calls me. 5 years later, all my kids have moved to Dallas, Texas. I want to sell my house. I ask her, are you going to interview other agents? She says, no, bring a CMA and a listing agreement. Let's get this house sold. So that has been very, very, very consistent. And that is consistent for San Francisco, Marin County, and Sonoma. And those markets are very different. So I would just find some way to stay in touch with them. Email is a great way just to send Christmas cards. Bold Trail has a whole email system where it'll send season cards for you in the email. And then the last thing I want to say is do not, I'm sure Bruce would agree, after you have a conversation with them, send them a handwritten card thanking them for their time. That's all you're doing, and put your business card in there. You'd be surprised how many of those business cards end up on the refrigerators. This is what I wanted to add.
Cool. The other thing we can do on those cards, we have lots of stock and a lot of people that do this every month. They send their business card out and it's already got a magnet on the back built in, and it comes out that way, specifically for that purpose, to get it stuck somewhere. And oftentimes you're going to find them on the fridge, or used to be that you'd find those kind of cards, stuck up around the phone when the phone used to be on the wall. Nobody's got that wall phone anymore. But definitely send them something they can hold on to. And I just think, Michael, that we're going to find that there's some missing pieces in here that we can help you dig into a little bit more. There's gold in there that you're definitely missing, and we'll get to it.
And, Tim, it occurred to me too that both people or both parties could be correct here. Michael's probably right that
Oh, sure.
70-80% of them are sold within a year. But what we're saying is if only half of the remaining ones, or if only 20% of the remaining ones are going to do something soon, the competition factor is so low. They don't have a friend in the business, they don't have a relative, they don't have a neighbor, they haven't done anything. The competition factor is so low. I think it offsets that percentage, that are going to finally do something later. So
Also going to be a faster close.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be way faster close, because by the time they make that decision, something's weighing on them generally to make that happen. An event occurred other than the death that caused it to go to probate. Something has happened that's caused them to be able to make that decision. And that's kind of the key element there, is that it's not we're going to think about this for 2 or 3 months. It's like, okay, we got to get this house sold. And, it's, again, right place, right time, top of mind. And we harp on that all the time. I used to say it all the time. I haven't said it in a while, But I mean, that's the thing to remember is that if you're not there, you're not the person that they're thinking of, then what's the next thing they're going to see? Well, they're going to pull out of their driveway and, three houses down, there's another sign in somebody's yard. Well, that must be somebody's marketing there. Who's that guy that talked to me before? I don't remember the guy that did probate. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I'll use Mary. She's already sold Sally's house. And, you've got no shot then. Anyway, we'll get to that. Guys, we got 12 more minutes. Anything anybody else would like to say? Please feel free to do that. We'll be glad to hear from you. Matthew, do you have anything exciting to talk with us about today, Mr. Melia?
No, not. I mean, I just wanted to kind of reiterate with the refresh program. I mean, a lot of the folks that we do talk to, we have a higher average dial to connection rate, which makes a huge difference. On just some of the newer leads, sometimes people are used to getting phone calls and they're screening a little bit more tightly. But with the refresh leads, no one's calling them anymore. We've had so many people that have come back around, and I've had folks that have told me, hey, yeah, actually, all 5 people that you set me up with in the past month and a half, 2 months, I've talked with all of them. They're all actually very interested. One of them's getting ready to get the house up on the market. And we don't get that as often with, some of the newer ones. It just doesn't happen as quickly. Not that it doesn't happen. It just sometimes takes a little bit longer. But when a lot of these folks have been waiting for this amount of time, you got surviving spouses that have been, for lack of better words, living in the house. And of course, they're starting to get memories of things that happened in the past. And they're like, you know what? It's too painful to stay here. And after that initial grief period lets up, they start to weigh out what options they have. And of course, if the house is, they may have bought the house for, I don't know, a loaf of bread and a nickel 50 years ago. Now the house is worth, $1 million. And they're like, well, kind of thinking I might want to go somewhere. And so that logic and that reality sets in, it kind of overtakes the emotion. And there you are. So I really like the refresh program. I mean, out of all the programs you guys offer, I like it the most, solely because of the fact that the leads are just not being like investors give up after, a lot of times an investor will call up front and they'll call for maybe a few weeks, a month, maybe 2 months. They give up. Agents give up just as quick. No one's calling them. So it's really is a huge opportunity, in my opinion.
And Matt, they don't have to be a year old. We've had people start 90 days. 6 months is probably a nice sweet spot. But you know, uh, a year, 2 years. Though I think the soonest I remember is 90 days, and the longest was 2 years. So like, he gave us a ton of leads that were 2 years old, and she got some leads out of there. I think she got a couple deals out of there. I should check back with her, but I'm not sure. But yeah, you're on the front line there. You're making the calls, so you would know. I appreciate the input.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed. Indeed. Okay, guys. Anybody we're going to make another pass through the crowd here and look for hands in the air. If we don't find that, I'm going to close up with a little quickie conversation and we're going to let you go for the day. If you have anything you'd like to talk about, we've still got 8 minutes. Be glad to hear from you. If not, we'll move on. I'll watch for your hands, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of start my end game here. Um, we don't, as I said, spend very much time talking about selling stuff here or anything else. We've kind of made it a point not to do that, and we're not going to change that. I will say that it's the end of the month. And for those of you who know who we are and know that sort of stuff, we're like any other organization. Towards the end of every month, we try to make a big month out of it. We've had a phenomenal month this month. It's been a very uh, big month for sales. Didn't expect it to be this good. I'm very happy about that. Uh, we're experiencing something that some of our friends in the business aren't experiencing. Um, we talk all the time amongst ourselves a good bit, and so I'm kind of trying to stay in touch with some of them and kind of see what's going on in the world. Anyway, just checking in and wanted to let you know that it's the end of the month, and if you have any desire to rock and roll and get yourself going and add a county, increase your lead count, get mail going, anything like that, it's a great time to talk to us. You're going to find us more flexible on terms and deals than we would be in the beginning of the month every month. In the beginning of the month, everything's going to be perfect. And now we're doing it just because we want to do it and be exciting, have a great close to the month. So reach out to your sales reps and all that sort of stuff. Matt says the same thing. Everybody's kind of in the same boat. It's the end of the month. Everybody's trying to make a great month out of it. We'd love to add some additional customers, add some additional subscribers, and continue to help other people grow their business just like you guys are. So look out for that. We can't call everybody, so you know what our numbers are. Please reach out to us. We'll be glad to talk with you. Outside of that, I don't have anything else. Jim, do you?
No, can't think of anything else. Stay warm, everybody. Hopefully make it back next week. Nothing else for me.
In that case, I would say send them to the barn, buddy.
All right. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. Particularly thank Steve, Tim, Bill, Matt, Connor, Michael, David, and Bruce for actively participating. I want to challenge each of you. Take one great idea that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share the results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. Same time next Thursday. Take care.